Yo, what's good, YouTube? Zamcrow here, aka Scoot, back with the official Smogon Tournament Round 4. A little bit late. I haven't been able to. I've had a lot of stuff, a lot of things going on in February and March, and starting in April, going to have a lot more things going on as well. But definitely going to try to keep, videos coming and whatnot. So it's been a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks actually, probably 3, maybe 4 weeks since I've uploaded an OST round. But yeah, here we are with round 4, and we're going to be taking on Zabmiaudo. Pretty cool name there. And from what I scouted, he or she is a competent battler. Likes to run some different things. But yeah, nonetheless, solid OU player. And we definitely got our hands full here. Yeah, I'm not sure how he ranks compared to my other opponents. I feel like I think all of my opponents so far have been pretty competent. We've had some pretty solid games. But yeah, here we are. I've built this Mega Septile team with Volcarona. The team actually centers around Volcarona, so I don't want to call it a Mega Septile team, but it is a team featuring Mega Septile, so there we are. Basically, this is a team that supports Volcarona's Quiver Dance Sweep. Have a lot of things that can lure in a Heatran, and like for example, Magearna lures in Heatran. I can Volt Switch out into something like Landers, and then force it to take rocks again, etc., etc. I have Earthquake on Mega Septile. It's actually a physical Swords Dance set, and Kyurem has the Earth Power. So I got several different ways to take care of Heatran, which will open up the door for Volcarona. And in this matchup in particular, I do have an Expert Belt, Kyurem Black. Perhaps Life Orb would have been better in this match. Actually, Life Orb just wins in this match. Literally, his team gets 6-0'd, literally, by Life Orb Kyurem Black. Unless I'm to the point where, okay, there's one Pokemon on his team that is potentially going to dodge an Oko, which is Clefable, and it can hit me back with Moonblast. It's not going to knock me out, but it's going to be a super effective hit, and then I would be in range of Scissor's Bullet Punch or something like that. Or if Scizor hits me with a Bullet Punch first, then I could potentially be in range of a Moonblast. I am 4 attacks with Ice Beam, Fusion Bolt, Earth Power, and Hidden Power Fire. So Scizor does get bopped as well. So yeah, if I was Life Orb in this match, I do think everything gets OK'd and 2-hit KO'd, which would have been super solid. I'm kind of sad that I brought a more of a Draft League type item on this Kyurem. It's more of a Draft League type Kyurem Black. But yeah, if had someone else built this team, they would have definitely put a Life Orb on Kyurem, and I would have been in a lot better position. So we got some Dragon Spam with the pretty standard defensive core in AV Mag and defensive Lando with rocks. We have Defog Zapdos, and like I said, Quiver Dance and Volcarona with, I think, a Z move. Don't quote me on that though. Anyways, we can go ahead and hop into the battle. My opponent's most likely to lead with Hippo or Heatran, since those are more than likely his rockers. Clefable looks more of a calm mindset on this team, with like a offensive Scizor and an offensive Clefable, and then the rest of his team looks pretty defensive. Looks like a solid defensive core. But yeah, let's hop into the battle here and see what goes on. So I'm going to lead off with Kyurem Black, as my opponent didn't really have a way to switch in here. So what my opponent is going to do here is he has to scout for the Earth Power, or else he just loses the Heatran, unless it's Shuckleberry, which is unlikely in a OU match. More than likely a leftovers variant, so that it can check things like Clefable and Magearna and Focus Blast less Mega Gardevoir and such. But yeah, my opponent needs to check for the Earth Power here. There's no way I'm clicking Hidden Power Fire, because Heatran would get a Flash Fire boost, and my opponent has a pretty safe switch into a Scizor. So here I'm just going to click the Earth Power, and he goes right into his Hippo. So now Hippo, which is going to take a lot from Ice Beam, needs to switch out as well. So at this point, I'm thinking, okay, maybe now he goes into his Scizor. I'm actually going to try to make a play and go ahead and click the Hidden Power Fire as he does go into the Scizor. There's a critical hit, but he is in his regular form, and I am Expert Belt Hidden Power Fire with, maximum special attack investment. So that critical hit did not matter. Unless he wasn't Mega Scizor and it was Assault Vest or something like that, but unlikely. And yeah, so nice huge turn to play. Turns out pretty good for me there. It was kind of a no drawback play. The worst that could have happened was he stays in with Hippo and gets up rocks, or he goes into Heatran, which then drops to the following Earth Power. And like I said, if he goes into anything else, if he goes into Mantine, then Fusion Bolt drops it the following turn. If he went into the Amoonguss, then it takes the Hidden Power Fire plus the Ice Beam. And then Clefable, it does take, since I am not Life Orb, it does not get to it KO'd by Ice Beam. So his play should have been to go into Clefable here. And since he didn't, it leads me to believe more so that Clefable is certainly a setup variant and is more than likely his win condition at this point. So what my opponent needs to do is weaken my Magearna and weaken my Volcarona, and then Clefable can be in a pretty solid position. Anyways, we get the turn 2 knockout on the Mega Scizor. Nice play there. And he brings in his Clefable. I'm going to hard switch out into Landers, predicting maybe my opponent to double or go for the Thunder Wave. So had I went into Magearna there and he Thunder Waved me, then Landers covers that play. And had I went into Magearna there and he doubled into the Heatran, Landers also covers that play and puts me in a position to just click Earthquake here. I can also set up Stealth Rocks or just U-turn out. And my opponent has the Heatran in, which is actually faster and switches out. But I do just get my Stealth Rocks up here. I'm not sure if that was actually the play, since I could have U-turned out and got my Kieran back in, or U-turned out and got another momentum shifter in. But here I end up with my Landers versus his Hippo. I can just U-turn out or hard switch. I'm going to hard switch so he doesn't know that I actually have U-turn. And I go straight into my Kieran Black, and I can fire off some powerful Ice Beams again. And now he reveals that he is actually Magic Guard Clefable. So he's most certainly this is his win condition. It has to be some kind of setup variant. And I'm going to go ahead and try for the 2-hit KO, condition him to soft boil a little bit, and then hard switch. So now I've got my Magearna in. Pretty solid check to Clefable. I do have the Iron Head, I believe, so that puts me in a little bit better position as well. And able to get the Volt Switch out as he brings in the Heatran. So now Landers has the Earthquake spam, and he actually is able to just bring in his Hippo. It takes nothing from the Earthquake. It probably never would. But yeah, now I've got my Sceptile in, and things are getting a little bit more interesting at this point, where I'm going to go straight for the Mega Evolution and Swords Dance up. So now I have a +2 Mega Sceptile in front of an Amoonguss. So at this point, he could hard switch into his Clefable, but he will take a lot from Leaf Blade the following turn. It won't kill, but he will take a lot. And this thing, if it's a Spadef set, which it could very likely be, given that he has some other physically defensive Pokemon, such as Clefable and Hippo, I could potentially knock it out with this Dragon Claw here. So I'm going to go for the Dragon Claw here. He could go for the Foul Play, or the Clear Smog, or the Sludge Bomb even. And he actually goes for the Toxic. So I'm going to be able to pick this thing off. I'm going to go for the Leaf Blade here so that he doesn't try to get Regenerator and be immune to the Dragon Claw with Clefable, and then hard switch back on the Leaf Blade, etc., until he beats me down with my own, with the Toxic and his Regenerator, and probably like Soft Boil and whatnot with the rest of his team. So yeah, definitely going for the Leaf Blade there. It was able to knock out the Amoonguss, and we're actually in a pretty solid position here. He brings in the Heatran. I'm going to go for the Earthquake, and we're doing super solid, right? Super solid. What could go wrong? So I'm going to go for the leaf blade here, and it does 63%. My opponent soft boils up. So here I'm at 9%. I can go for this again, and he would lose 63% once again. And he goes for the soft boil once again. So it would have been, I have a sack now. I have a sack in set top. I have a sack, and pretty happy about that. Now I bring in my Magirna as my opponent stays in and goes for the Calm Mind. So had I just attacked there and went for the Iron Head, I would have been able to beat this thing, probably. I'm going to hard switch back out to my Magirna and try to immediately pressure him once again. And he reveals Thunder. So he has Thunder. As you can see, my Iron Heads are doing 40%. So I'm not in too bad of a position here. He is using Thunder, which is a very inaccurate move. He has Calm Mind, Soft Boil, Thunder, and some kind of fairy attack. That should be obvious. So at this point, I'm saying that, okay, I might not be able to beat him with Magirna, but I can put him in range, and like I can beat him down, run him out of soft boils at least, beat him up quite a bit. I can still beat this Clefable, is what I'm saying. That's the main thing here, is I can still beat this Clefable. He goes for the Thunder there. Once again, I'm able to get another Iron Head off. As long as I avoid paralysis from those Thunders, I can still win with Volcarona. And yeah, it shouldn't be too big of an issue. He does go for the soft boil once again. And yeah, just kind of a stally part of the battle here. He's not able to knock me out quite yet. He is forced to soft boil here, or attack and then die to something the following turn. But yeah, he does just soft boil and gets back up to reasonable, decent amounts of HP to where he can check some of the rest of my Pokemon, unless he's just going to try to stay in and win here. But yeah, he could definitely do that. And he goes for the Moonblast here. He's able to knock me out. And now I'm going to go into my Zapdos. And the reason being is because I want to get rid of these rocks. And as soon as I get rid of these rocks, I can go right back into Volcarona. And what Volcarona will allow me to do is set up a Quiver Dance. First, I want to get some chip damage off on this thing. That's the reason I go into Landers. I want him to waste as many soft boils as possible. And I don't need Landers. Landers can't do anything to Mantine or Hippo. And I can get my rocks up here. He's definitely going to soft boil on this turn. And now I can get a little bit more chip off with the Earthquake once again. And now he's at 65%. Okay, so now I can go into my Volcarona and I can start Quiver Dancing. So at this point, unless he gets a crit or a para and a full para at that, then I should win this match, because Volcarona is going to be able to Quiver Dance up. It's going to be able to Quiver Dance, Roost, Quiver Dance, Roost, Quiver Dance, Roost, until I'm in a position to where I'm actually going to be able to beat this Clefable, because I'll be able to set up as much as he can, and I resist his attacks. Whereas, except Thunder, obviously, but Thunder, if we get to the same amount of boost, then Thunder isn't going to be able to 2-hit KO me. And as you're going to see here, it's not going to be able to 2-hit KO even after a one Quiver Dance. And I'm going to be faster, so I'm going to get at least one Quiver Dance up here. And yeah, just going to show that off there. He goes for the Thunder, and it does less than half. So you see that you just now saw that it did less than half. So I can Quiver Dance up once more. I can Roost as well. I could Roost here, but a crit is more than likely still going to kill me, given his special attack boost and the fact that critical hits ignore other boost, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But yeah, so what I'm going to try to do here is go for another Quiver Dance, and then I want to Roost up. So now I'm at +2, +2, +2, and I can Roost up the following turn, because I 100% survive this Moonblast or Thunder easily, but my opponent's going to get a critical hit there, and then Clefable's going to be able to clean up here. Yeah, Clefable's going to be able to clean up here, and we'll be moving on to Game 2. So a little bit unfortunate there. A game we dominated. Turns out that a Calm Mind Clefable reversed us at the end. Not a reverse sweep, because we weren't, like sweeping or anything like that. But yeah, definitely got got the Clefable pulled out on us there, and a little bit unfortunate, but it is what it is. Pokemon is a gambler's game, and yeah, we can't. If there's a way to take the gamble out of the game, we probably would. Or I probably would, but yeah, that's gonna be it for game 1, and we'll be right back for game 2. All right, so here we are with game 2, and my opponent has now brought the Landorus Therian, Tapu Fini, Kieran Black, Victini, Mega Scizor, and the Superior. And we have a team actually built by our buddy, not built by ourselves this time. This is a team that was built by Dragon Master 69, aka Dargan, a good buddy of mine. Plays in the Pokemon Battle Federation alongside me, and is he definitely likes the Smogon community. So yeah, I trusted his build, and I was going to use it here in game 2. And it actually doesn't have a terrible matchup. And yeah, so we'll hop into the battle here. We have Tapu Koko, which is like a U-turn Thunderbolt set, I believe. I actually forgot what. I haven't played this. Haven't played OU in so long, and haven't used this team in so long. But I do know that Mega Scizor is a Swords Dancing variant with Bullet Punch and Knockoff. And that Tapu Bulu is an Assault Vest variant. Landorus is a defensive variant, I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, let's go ahead and hop into the battle. We do have a nice Heatran for his Serp and his Victini and his Mega Scizor, which is pretty dope, not going to lie. And Mega Scizor semi-checks his Kieran Black. And then like Bulu and Koko they do pretty well against Tapu Fini, and then my own Landorus and Mantine does pretty well against his own Landorus. So I think I have a pretty decent matchup in this match, and yeah, we'll go ahead and send out our leads here. So we get the Intimidate on Victini. I'm going to hard switch out into Mantine in case he had the Glaciate or just wanted to go for Will-O-Wisp or something like that. Get our Mantine in. He goes into the Kyurem. As our plays here are pretty obvious, we don't really have much of a say. So I hard switch into Scizor. I'm not sure what my opponent actually expected as he doubled into Landorus. Maybe my Heatran, but I actually go into Scizor and going to be able to just throw off a knockoff or throw off a Swords Dance and see what my opponent wants to go for. Go for the knockoff, get rid of his leftovers, and he gets up his Stealth Rocks, and then U-turns out. As actually I'm able to just click knockoff once again, I believe, and get rid of Tapu Fini's leftovers as well. So now Landorus and Tapu Fini have no leftovers, and we're in a pretty okay position. We bring in Tapu Bulu on the Nature's Madness. A bit unfortunate. I was hoping for a Scald or something, or a Surf. However, we switch out the following turn into our Heatran, as our opponent actually does go for the Surf. With the Grassy Terrain's up, we get a little bit of leftovers back, a little bit of Grassy Terrain back, and we'll be at an okay position. And then we actually stay in here and make a play, able to Toxic the Fini since the Misty Terrain isn't up, and we get bopped by the Surf again. So my opponent's also making plays. We felt each other out in round 1. We know a little bit about each other now, and we're keen to more aggressive plays now. But now I don't want to lose Heatran. It's still good for Scizor. It's still good for Victini. It's still good for Serp even, unless it's Hidden Power ground. So I'm going to get a little leftovers back there, a little bit of Grassy Terrain back, protect a little bit, do it again, and then hard switch out into Mantine on the Surf and get a little water absorbed there. So quite happy with that. Leftovers, and unfortunately Grassy Terrain doesn't help us because we are a flying type. But yeah, we're able to get rid of Rocks here as he hard switches into Kyurem and then doubles out into Landorus, predicting Heatran or Scizor. But this time I'm actually just going to click Scald, predicting his double. He did go into Landorus, predicting my Heatran last time, but I went into Scizor. And this time I'm actually not even going to make the switch. I'm going to confidently think that my opponent isn't going to click the Fusion Bolt since it's so obvious, and I do have Landorus, I do have Koko, I do have Scizor and Heatran and Bulu even, so I didn't see the Fusion Bolt coming out there. So I stayed in and I clicked Scald as my opponent doubled to the Landorus. So far, outside of the Feeney getting the surfs on Heatran, I feel like this is another pretty dominating performance up to this point, and getting all the 50-50s right. So I'm pretty happy about that. My opponent goes for Stealth Rocks as we defog and get that right immediately, which is pretty dope. I don't know if I actually click defog again as my opponent goes for the U-turn. I do click defog again, so wanted to make sure. I was pretty adamant about making sure that rocks were off the field. My opponent goes into Feeney, doubles out into Kyurem. Not sure exactly what he was predicting. I just went for Roost there in case of the Nature's Madness. But yeah, my opponent doubles out into the Kyurem Black, and now I'm pretty forced to switch out. So I hard switch into Scizor as he does go for the Fusion Bolt this time, and I take little to nothing, and I'm just able to Roost up here. And my opponent sees the Roost coming. He hard switches into Victini, and now I'm forced to switch out once again. However, I'm thinking about making a play here, clicking Knockoff. However, I do think getting Stealth Rocks back up and having Swords Dance Scizor is a win condition, so I'm actually not going to risk my Scizor. I'm going to go hard into my Heatran as my opponent goes for the Bolt Strike, and this is actually going to be able to 2-hit KO me. So I'm actually going to hard switch into my Landers. My opponent reads that really well and goes into his Scizor, but exactly seeing that he could go into his Landers on my Heatran or my own Landers, he hard switches, like I said, out into his Kyurem. I hard switch out into my Scizor instead of my Landers, and he's actually not in the position he thought he was in, and he's forced to hard switch from Kyurem to Scizor now to combat my Scizor. And I go for the knockoff there, hoping to catch his Victini, but he does go into his Scizor, and now I can just go back into Mantine as he clicks knockoff of his own, and actually does quite a chunk to me. I'm going to be forced to just Roost up here. My opponent brings in his Tapu Fini, but I did get him with the Toxic earlier as I had the Grassy Terrain up. I can just click Scald here. I predicted the Kyurem Black double again, and Roost didn't really benefit me on that turn. The following turn it does benefit me though, so I can go for it now. I just throw off a Scald. He is poisoned. He is getting whittled, so getting this thing out of the way is pretty solid for things like Heatran. So yeah, able to Roost up here. He doubles back into his Kyurem and then triple switches out into his Serp as I get in my Scizor. So I get in my Scizor, and he goes straight for the Leaf Storm. He's not playing around. He wants his boost. He's sick of this game. And I go for the knockoff there. Now my opponent's at +2 special attack though, so I'm actually kind of scared that he has the Hidden Power Fire. And he does go for the Hidden Power Fire, and he does quite a bit to my Assault Vest Bulu. However, this means he does not have Hidden Power Ground, which means that Heatran is a pretty decent switch in. I do lose Bulu, and I go into my Landers here just to kind of scout how much damage I could get off with the U-turn, and I knew it would put him in Bullet Punch range, and he would be inclined to click Leaf Storm, so that Scizor can come in and eat the Leaf Storm, and now dies or kills this thing with Bullet Punch. I could click Knockoff here, predicting the Victini, but it's just too risky. Just too risky there. Serp was about to run me over, so not about to lose that. And yeah, so he U-turns out, predicting my switch, and I do switch out into Landers. He gets his Kyurem Black back in, so a bit unfortunate for me. I'm just going to U-turn out since I am Choice Scarf myself. Go into Mega Scizor as my opponent throws off the Sub-Zero Slammer and does quite a bit. But we live and get off some Bullet Punch damage, and that puts him in range of Stealth Rock. So if we can get Stealth Rock back up, we'll be in a pretty good position. We can just U-turn out here. It will get us momentum on everything, and it picks off 2 of his Pokemon, which is pretty solid. And now we go into our Tapu Koko, and our opponent brings in the Victini. We're going to hard switch into our Heatran, and he goes straight for the V-Create this time. I guess the reason being for him going for V-Create is because I had 3 Pokemon that didn't, or 2 Pokemon that don't really appreciate him, and then the other 2 Pokemon I have don't appreciate the Electric Terrain, so it was kind of confusion on what move that he should go for, what should I predict his move to be and whatnot. But ultimately, just going into my Heatran was the best play. He hard switches out into his Tapu Fini, as I get my stealth rocks up. So pretty happy about that. Kieran Black now dies. Victini is going to be taking chip damage and whatnot. And 1 sec, I'll be right back. Alright, sorry about that. I got a little bit interrupted there with a phone call, but we're back. And like I said, we're just going to set up our stealth rocks right here. And my opponent can make a couple different plays here. Just going to throw off a protect here, get a little bit more leftovers back, and then I can switch out. Hard switch out into Mantine here. Water absorb once again. Of course, I was at full this time, so it didn't really matter. Able to defog. My opponent's able to defog there, and I just roost up. So he got rid of my rocks, but I can get those back up potentially later. My opponent can't knock out Coco in 1 hit, so I'm going to hard switch out into it immediately and just go for the Thunderbolt. It knocks out, and everything else is not going to appreciate it either. And this Landers, I'm pretty sure it revealed to not be Scarf, so I'm just going to knock it out with the Dazzling Gleam. I'm not sure if my opponent thought I was Choice Scarfed or something, but I wasn't, so able to just pick that thing off here. Victini is Choice Scarf though, however, I do believe anyway. And he goes for the Bolt Strike there and able to OHKO my Mantine under the Electric Terrain. Go back into Landers here and I can fire off an Earthquake. I can fire off a U-Turn. I actually do go for U-Turn here, predicting him to switch out into a Scizor. And I wanted to go out into my Heatran. Didn't actually work out for me. I'm going to hard switch back into my Landers though, get the double Intimidate off. And now I can just click that Earthquake. My opponent's trying to get in his Scizor so that he can potentially win with it. Since Landers isn't going to be able to 2-hit KO or anything with Swords Dance. However, I'm going to try because if he's if that was a roll, it was in his favor, but it was still a roll. So definitely was going to try for it there, depending on his investment, that is. So he does go for the Swords Dance, and I hard switch into Coco here. I want a little bit of damage on this thing, and he goes for the Bullet Punch, able to outspeed me. Obviously, since he, that is priority. However, most the Swords Dance Scizor sets run 200 speed. This Heatran sets at 201 speed, so I should be faster, bar any speed creeps. Unless he's like a really fast Scizor, he could potentially be faster than me. But yeah, most of the time Scizor isn't trying to outpace Heatran, since Heatran mostly runs max speed, max HP anyway. So it's likely this Scizor is slow as well. So I'm just going to throw off a Lava Plume here, and we're going to reveal that we are faster, and we're going to pick up the knockout there. Another pretty, it was only a 2-0, and it was 51 turns. And it seemed really close, but I felt like I always had the tools and the win conditions to keep the match in my favor. Anyways, so had we not been critical hit in game 1, we would be advancing to round 5 right now. After 2 dominant performances in game 1 and game 2. But that's unfortunately not the case because we were crit in game 2. So we'll be right back with game 3. Alright, so here we are in game 3, and my opponent has chosen to bring Stall this time. A bit unfortunate because we brought a team that actually has a tough time against Stall, especially if we can't break things like Quagsire, Chansey, etc. He does have super solid answers to my entire team, but things like Suicune and Clefable, they're able to win games on their own sometimes, so I'm not definitely going to count myself out at this point. However, as soon as I saw a matchup, I did get a very, very bad feeling in my stomach. I don't know if it's the fact that he actually brought Stall or the fact that I should have already advanced to round 5. But yeah, nonetheless, we are forced to play a third game, and here we are. So just not there's not much to say. His team is hard for my team to break. That's just how it is. I'm not able to 2-hit KO his Sableye either. So some nice EV spreads there. Jirachi looks to be one of those Stealth Rock Heal and Wish sets, or a Wish Pass set, something like that. Not too much to say about this battle, actually. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Like I said that on turn 5. I'm going to wait till turn 7, and then I'm going to spoil the outcome of the battle. I am actually going to lose this battle. I can't break his team, so that's why I got the speed up a little bit. I'm going to try to not like dwell on this Stolly battle that much. As you can see there, he does have Quagsire, which is one of the best Charizard X switch, checks. Had I got a burn on the Flare Blitz there, maybe I could have beat this thing. However, he's able to just go into Jirachi. If I defog, he just throws the rocks back up. He's able to Iron Head flinch me down as well. Can't get much damage off versus any of his Pokemon. And he's able to constantly throw wishes off into his other fatter Pokemon. He's always constantly bringing Jirachi in on Clefable and Zapdos. They're not going to be able to 2-hit KO Jirachi or anything like that with anything other than Zard or maybe Landorus. His Azu is actually a pretty cool set. It's a Whirlpool Perish Song set. I'm not sure what his Zapdos set is. I'm pretty sure it's just like a bulky Zapdos with Defog and Roost. But yeah, especially since he had the toxic, like had he not been able to toxic some of my Pokemon, might have been in a better position to try to combat the Stolly team, but it's just unlikely. So yeah, I'm going to try to do something with Suicune and try to pressure my opponent into making a mistake, but it's not going to happen. Like I said, my opponent's a very competent player. He's able to, if you watch here, he's not attacking me because he doesn't have to. He has Pokemon that don't care about Scald Burns. He has Pokemon that are able to Natural Cure. He's got Pokemon that can Healing Wish. He's got Pokemon that can Rest. He's got Pokemon that can Refresh. He's got Pokemon that literally, like Azu and Quagsire and Chansey, can repetitively switch in on Suicune until I'm out of PP. So yeah, there's really not too much to say here. It was just a bad matchup. As soon as we got into the battle, like I said, I just knew it was going to be a rough one. So yeah, that's basically the story of the battle here. I do get a +1 attack boost here with my Metagross, so I do try to go for some Zen Headbutt flinches. Unfortunately, it's not going to be the case. It's not going to be the case, and I'm actually going to end up getting burnt. My Metagross is actually going to get burned, so just salt in the wound there. Some more toxic damage, rocks damage, burn damage, scalds, etc., etc. I'm getting beat up, so that's a bit sad there. So yeah, basically just couldn't break his team, and he slowly whittles my team down, and yeah, that's basically it. Suicune does get burned, which is kind of good because it makes sure that I can't be poisoned, but but it's still just too hard for my team to win against this specific team, and my opponent is actually able to show his rest off. He's going to be able to throw off a Perish Song here in just a second. I didn't actually even consider it at the time that he would be a Whirlpool Perish Song set. After I saw rest, it should have been pretty apparent, but like I said, I was so distraught after game 1 that here in game 2 and 3 I just couldn't even focus. But the matchup certainly didn't help me in this one. I'm going to end up losing Suicune here. I don't know if this game plays all the way out. It is. Oh, okay. I do try to try to win here with Landers, but not able to do that either. Even go for the Z move there. He goes for it. It did 17 behind the protect. 17%. +2 Supersonic Sky Strike to a Quagsire. Well, given that it's unaware, so it was just a neutral one. But still, Supersonic Sky Strike at 17%. But yeah, I'm just going to forfeit here. I couldn't break Quagsire. Couldn't break his entire team put together. So yeah, it's going to be going to get us a nice loss there, and not going to be able to advance to round 5 to continue our quest for the $200 cash prize. Was definitely looking forward to that. Obviously, any kind of prize is nice, but a cash prize for Pokemon just sounded so good. It really did. I could taste it. But yeah, it's gonna be it. We'll definitely be getting into some more Smogon tournaments and whatnot, and see how we can fare against some other competent players. It's on the ladder. You don't know what kind of competition you're going to face, but when you get into these OST or OLT, the official ladder tournament, official Smogon tournament, Smog Tours, Worlds, all that stuff, SPL and stuff, you know you're going to be facing some competent battlers, and I definitely had a lot of fun being able to make some more aggressive reads, knowing exactly what my opponent would do, expecting your opponent to make the most optimal plays and stuff. So yeah, let me know what you thought. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and definitely give some kind of feedback, and catch us in the next tour. So yeah, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for watching.